let's go live and get right into it here, because
Yeah.
there we go. So yes, I only worked for myself today, and no, well, I guess technically I may have worked for a family member because I did capture a few VHS tapes from my aunt's bags of VHS tapes that I said don't send those into a professional. Uh, Give those to me. Uh, you don't have to. And she was quite glad to do that because that meant not trusting them with UPS or FedEx or the Postal Service, which, as we all know, has a perfect, flawless track record in my book. Well documented that I am totally a-okay with UPS and have not a single bad thing to say about. Actually, uh, actually, I have one good thing I could say about UPS, and that is their hold music. They have awesome hold music. That otherwise, no, I have nothing good
Exactly.
to. They have nice employees at the store.
So Celsius drink is our ad. I don't even know what that is.
Celsius drink. Okay, all right, all right. Well, tell you what we should do. What we should do is we should wait until the top of the hour to do that. I guess this is pre-show. This is not even show. This
Oh,
is
it showed me
pre-show.
the ad again.
Um, Okay. You do know that you could install an ad blocker. Oh wait, no, ad blockers don't work
For Twitch.
for Twitch. They work for YouTube, and they work for Freevee. Although Freevee updated how ad blockers work. Instead of ad blockers just completely skipping the ad breaks, ad blockers make the ad break look like it's fast forwarding. Now that's the on-demand video. The live Freevee
Oh, I
streams
have
still
this
show the
ad on the
ads.
bottom about TwitchCon in Las Vegas.
Oh, you going?
What are they going to do? What is this, like Comic Con, but for Twitch?
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's a convention, and people from Twitch are there, and other people
Excuse to
from
go
Twitch
to
are there,
Las Vegas to gamble.
probably, or taking a show, or find out all that Windham has to offer you. I mean,
Winham?
yeah. Have you not heard about Windham, Brian?
I have no idea what that is.
Do you know that the average hotel room was designed for a 1950s businessman? Do you all practice as a family to travel? Do you all decide to let's try living in our daughter's room together with a cot and two beds for a weekend just to practice traveling? Is this any way that you should live? Well, instead you could
Why does
just
your daughter run a hotel?
instead Instead, you could just sign your paycheck over to Windham Industries for a timeshare and have plenty of room for your whole family. We got suites. We got multi-room suite kitchens. You go back to that hotel room that you're staying at in the casino that you're staying at there. There's no coffee machine in that hotel room. And I know that because I called them and I told them don't put any coffee machines in their rooms to help our sales pitch. But here, you got a whole kitchen. Windham's a big timeshare company, and there are
Yeah.
there are people all over every hotel casino in Vegas dressed up in a uniform that looks like they're with the hotel, but they're not.
They're
They're
just
they
selling timeshare slots.
they are there to trick you into getting on a bus to go to a hard sales pitch. By the end of my
We
vac-
we so we got suckered into, oh, look, a free, this was
free
I
breakfast.
think this was at Waikiki in
Okay,
Oahu.
free
Got
breakfast.
on a bus for this
Breakfast.
free breakfast.
Free Hawaiian breakfast, meaning they had spam in the eggs.
No, actually, it was just a continental breakfast. It wasn't even worth going to.
No,
I
it
mean, hey,
wasn't.
give me something real. But when people found out what this was, like half the people just got up and left right
well,
away.
the person that's tricked me into going, mind you, I get to. This was during the Boise migration. This is towards the end of the Boise migration. I had
Yeah.
racked up a shit ton of Southwest air miles, flying all around to Portland, Seattle, Southern Cal, Phoenix, Denver,
Right.
doing all these migrations. And so after we were done with the Boise migration, I was like, I'm taking a long weekend and I'm going to Vegas with my wife. I'm going to take in a few shows, do some gambling, and relax and actually have a fucking fun weekend to myself after all these weekends of traveling and working. And I pretty much had enough. I had enough to pay for most of the airfare, so I just had to get a cheap hotel room. And we get there. And we go to check in. Of course, our room's not ready yet because the room's not ready till the afternoon, but the flights are in the morning. So, we go to the front desk, ask them to hold our bags until the room's ready, and we sign in. And the first thing I want to do, because I read online, is, go check out the casino, but you want to get, like, the membership card that, like, tracks your gambling so that you get, like, the perks type of thing. So I'm looking for the desk to get that. And while I'm looking around looking for the desk, this guy goes, "Can I help you find something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for the desk to get, the gambling card thing." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I can help you with that. Come over here. But have you had breakfast?" And I had not had breakfast. And I'm like, "No, I've not had." "Well, would you like a complimentary breakfast?" I'm like, "Well, okay."
Bingo, sucker.
Yeah, he had me.
It's actually interesting. So I go to the Twitch side. Wait a second.
But here's the problem. In Vegas, what they've done is they rope you in with a free breakfast. Then they tell you, we're also going to give you a free complimentary gift. You have your choice of like a $100 gift card or $100 in chips or gambling chips, not potato chips. $100 in potato chips would be a lot of.
I thought they would be memory cards.
Yeah,
memory chips.
Yeah, they're. But the thing is so once you're like, ooh, a free $100 for my vacation here, or for gambling to lose, that way I could start $100 up instead of start even, and then if I lose $100, I break even, because that's gambler math. But so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's get breakfast. It's early, we may as well get breakfast. But they take a $20 deposit. And I don't know how they got the $20 from me, but somehow they convinced me to give them the $20 deposit to go to this free breakfast and free $100 gift card.
A $20 deposit for a free breakfast. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, basically they want to make sure that you don't leave the sales pitch early. And I'm like, whatever. I get my free $100 and the $20 back. I'll deal with the whole thing. And then that's how I end up sitting. And of course, the breakfast is your standard continental cheap eggs and I forget if they had the sausage links or patties, but they had one of those, and styrofoam plates, and
some type of sausage,
the cheap coffee, and of course there was a sales guy that was assigned directly to us that sat down, introduced himself to us, and I knew I wasn't signing anything, and I knew I wasn't buying this because I knew it was a dumb idea. I just didn't know how I was going to convince this guy to let me go. But so that was my.
Can I have my $20 back?
Well, that's kind of what it was like, because basically we get to the end where he's he runs the credit report. The computer makes a sound, cha-ching, woohoo! This guy's not a dumbass. He's been.
You even let him take a credit report?
I don't think I had a choice in the Matt. I think he did a free one.
What did he do?
Well, he had my name.
Drill a hole in your head and get your social security number or something?
I don't know if he had my social security number or if he ran one of those free half-assed type of things. Or I don't know. All I know is I don't remember. The details escape me now. All I know is that he had at some point determined that I was an ideal candidate for this.
Right.
Of course, he probably determines that everyone has great. You know what? He might have just typed in a calculator, looked at it, and said, "Oh my God, your credit report came out great," and that might just be his line for everyone, which is
Really, I'm in my third bankruptcy in 2 years.
That's exactly the type of person we want here.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, this guy. Keep looking over your shoulder, because I think this guy Luigi is coming after me to break my legs.
There's a whole
because I also have gambling debts.
there's a whole industry based on trying to get out of timeshares, and that industry themselves is also a leech on
Oh, absolutely. Friends of
because
ours have timeshares, and they look to get rid of theirs, and they decided
they can't.
shit,
You
that's a
can't.
worse deal than just keeping it.
You cannot get rid of it, and the
Yeah,
companies that will take your money to get you out of it, they can't get you out of it either, but they can take your money, and then now you're paying two entities, and you're
yeah.
still right back where you started. You can't give away a timeshare. You cannot. No one wants one. You cannot give it away. You
Oh, I
can't.
get. There are suckers that keep getting them. Um,
Well, you
you
have
know,
to
this
find a sucker is what you
other
have to do.
person, I think our friends have 3 weeks. Okay.
You can't easily give it away. Is my
And
point.
yeah, they decided these places that are offering that are just scam artists, or just not a good deal. And
Yeah.
so this other person I just has a lot of weeks, and there was this outfit that just got bought up by Marriott, and they're deciding whether they're going to transfer their credits to Merit or leave them with, what is it,
Mm.
Aston, or I don't remember who it was.
But my point is that that was my first day in Vegas, was dealing with this spiel and this hard sales guy, and I basically said to him, "Look, you put on a lovely pitch, you have a lovely product here, and you make a lot of great points, because their big focus point was you should take more vacation time. If someone could market a pill that would improve your mental health the same extent that vacation time does, they would
Holy shit.
make $1
That's
billion.
really making it thick.
Right, like they had medical charts about mental health and things like that. You know what they say the best thing is for mental health? Taking some time off from work. People don't use their time off from work, and if they could make a pill that was as effective as taking time off from work. So and I guess the argument is, if you're paying a bunch of money into this timeshare that you have time in, that encourages you to actually use your vacation time
Yeah.
rather than, but because you already own your, basically it kind of makes the whole thing like your parents, they want the best for your younger generation. They want for you to own a home. Well, how about owning your vacation? Rather than rent your vacation, why don't you own your vacation? And with us, you own your vacation.
Which is a farce. No, you don't
Yeah,
own
no,
anything.
it was a lot of bullshit. And so I get to the end of it, I'm like, look it, I'm renting. I'd like to own a home, and I'm trying to save to own a home. So before I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to own a home first. But I'd be certainly glad to take your business card and
Yeah.
give you a call
Right.
when the day
Right.
comes that I'm ready to know. And he basically said, well, I think you're thinking about this all wrong. And of course he thought I was thinking about this all wrong, because the way I was thinking about it was in a method that
You
he
mean I'm
didn't.
not thinking of it your way,
Right.
where you got my money?
And he was like, if signing up for this and adding this much to your monthly budget makes the difference between, owning a house and not owning a house, and you're not ready to own a house, I'm like, look at it. I'm saving. That slows down my saving. That pushes back. And, at that one, he had to kind of.
And I'd rather buy a vintage TV, right?
I didn't.
Oh, you weren't into that then.
I went practical. I should have gone. Gators today would have just gone, off the deep end, wacky Gators. I would have totally been like, yeah, but how am I gonna? But do you have quad sound systems in your rooms? What do you mean you don't have? I need Dolby Atmos. You don't got speakers
Well,
in the
today
ceilings?
it didn't exist back then, right?
I'm saying if I did this today, I'd go
Yeah,
nuts.
right,
I wouldn't.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't try to give them a practical out. I give them the nuts out, because now I know the practical out they're waiting for, and they'll talk and they'll say, no, you're all wrong.
What
about
if
that.
it was just a regular surround system?
No speaker ceilings, no deal.
Or you say, am I allowed in this timeshare to plug holes in the ceiling to put in speakers from my Atmos system?
Well, that's not how these things work. It's basically like
know it. I know it.
it's not your traditional.
It's basically
time.
a hotel room that you're going to all the time.
Right. It's a network
The
of
same
hotel,
room.
It's a network of hotel resorts that you get an available room within. It's not the traditional timeshare of a bunch of people sharing one building. It's, although traditional probably is more dated. Might be the right term for that.
Well,
Anyways,
I know.
Racer
Some friends of
1977
ours.
is here.
Hello,
Hello.
Racer. I know
But
some people. No, there's the friends of ours, in fact.
yeah,
They tend to get the same room most of the time,
and I don't know how these work because I've not
and
actually
they
done
and
them.
they and they so they book that
I'm
room, but the entire building is what they're going to.
right.
So yeah, we want the third floor facing the south or whatever it
Well,
is.
I don't know what they're in, and I don't know how this works, or if you can request specific
Yeah,
rooms. I just don't know. All I know is
sure.
that once you learn that this is what's out to try to get you to sit
Yeah.
through a boring presentation and put
Now, so
the
what
squeeze on
what they
you.
what they fail to do, I think, in some of these presentations, they don't tell you we have a network of facilities. So if you don't want to go to Vegas, you could go to Atlantic City instead,
No, no, that
or
was the
you could.
whole point I was making was that it's
Yeah,
a network of build, and they were very
right.
big on. I mean, they no, that was. I don't
We
know why
actually
you.
bought a week from our friends
We're
to
we're kind
be
of
in
done with this
in
part
Vegas.
of the
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Oh, what's the next part?
The next part is the get rich quick scheme because I have it.
Oh,
I have the secret to getting rich
we
quick.
have another new guy,
We
Buford
have
T.
Buford T.
Justice.
Justice. Has anyone seen The Bandit? Um,
No, 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 well,
I've not seen
no.
the.
Have
Have
we?
you seen The
We
Bandit?
well, we've been talking about that. Well, it's a bandit, right? The
You
guy
know
with the
what?
get rich quick scene.
I've not seen him recently, but rumor has it that him and his buddies were hanging out at the Dayton, Ohio airport last weekend. So you might want to follow up on that lead, see where he went from there. But I guarantee you,
Dayton,
if
Ohio? You think
Dayton,
so?
Ohio. Oh yeah, well I guarantee you, Bandit was at the Dayton, Ohio airport last weekend because that's where the
Oh,
Trans Am
he's heading
Nationals.
there, but you don't have to go right away. After all, probably by this time it's probably 8 o'clock,
He's got
right?
to go follow up on that lead. I mean, he's long gone by now, but that's where he was last weekend.
But thanks for stopping in,
Thanks for
Buford
stopping
T.
in, Buford.
Justice.
Mr. T. Justice. Mr. T. Justice.
Mr. T, yes. Does he wear gold chains like
I loved your breakfast cereal, but
breakfast cereal? Mr. T had a breakfast cereal?
you don't remember the Mr. T with the golden teas teaming up with Mr. T cereal with a touch
I
of
do
brown
not remember
sugar.
that. Was that Saturday morning cartoons?
It was breakfast cereal. They may have advertised
Oh,
it on Saturday mornings. So
and it's 5:02. Yay!
so here's how you get rich quick. Because after this wonderful presentation with Wyndham, every time I was walking around the rest of my weekend in Vegas, every time I walked into a new casino, some dude in a uniform looking all official, acting like they owned the building, would walk up to me and ask them if they could help me. And it was the same exchange every time. Hello, sir. Could I help you or guide you? It's like, oh, hi. I could. And then I see Wyndham on like their name tag, and I would immediately stop mid-sentence and go, oh, it's one of you, and then continue walking.
Or do you remember the name of the guy that did his presentation?
Not a clue. No, these are all.
I mean, at that
nameless
time, did you
ass
did you
hats.
have his name? Because you could say, "Oh, I just talked to blah blah blah."
Yeah,
Is he a friend of yours?
I all I wanted to do was get to where I was going. I to me it was frustrating and annoying that everywhere I went, these Wyndham asshats were distracting me, looking like official uniformed members of the hotel staff, but they're not. They're just trying to get people on a bus to a sales pitch. And so and multiple times I did the whole, oh hi, oh it's one of you, which is probably not the most polite greeting, but it's better
Yeah.
than spitting in their face or
Or
cursing them
or you
out.
kind of go, "Oh, it's one of you guys. Do you want a hug too?"
So here's what you do.
Or something really creepy.
So here's how you get rich. You print up a bunch of T-shirts. They could be just plain white T-shirts with big bold black text, and you just make those T-shirts say, "No, I am not interested in your timeshare."
Right.
And then you
By the way,
sell
would you
them.
like a T-shirt?
And then you sell them for like $20 each on a street corner in Vegas. I guarantee you will sell out of those in 5 minutes because I would have totally bought one. If I was like, if I ever go to Vegas again, I am making myself a shirt that does that. And your green screen effect is totally killing your.
Wow. I won't be talking about that.
Dune has a better one, a better way to get rich than that.
Wicked. He's got to call in now.
Now, is this a call-in type of story, or is this a write-in type of story? I gotta make sure my cables are connected to. Yeah, I think I could take calls. All right, cool. So Dune's got a better one. He's either going to write it in or call it in. But meanwhile, we're going to open up the show this week because, boy, is it exciting.
Up. Holy shamoly. It's only 14 minutes in.
You are tuned in to everyone's favorite internet radio show.
Insert title here.
And you know what? We might have a title to insert in here. I've been thinking about it, and I haven't. This is brand new news to everyone else. But, Brian, what do you think about Showy McShowFace for our show name?
Yeah.
Showy McShowFace. You think it's got a nice ring to it? You know, because I think anytime you put it to the internet to name something, that's what they come up with. So if the internet were to name our show, it would be Showy McShowFace. So why don't we be the internet's show? Why don't we be the show that the internet's asking for?
I know. Why don't you move close to your camera like this?
Okay.
Get real close.
Well,
too close.
You want me to move too close to the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we need to have is the camera on like a rail. You pull the string so the camera moves right up to the rail, so it's right in your face.
I'm as close as I'm getting without standing.
That's not bad. That's not bad. We'll both be doing it, and Dune can clip this for a little video thing where we're just talking faces.
We're okay.
Oh, right. But wait, no, we're not on Facebook.
We are. Our show isn't, but
our show isn't on Facebook.
That's okay.
Creepy McIT face. Dude, that's awesome.
Thank you, dude, for naming. All right, so I am Creepy McIT face, and that's Brian Mix Talkie Face.
So now
we're doing the Showy McShowFace show.
Dune call in.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we get his face in there too.
So apparently we creeped Mod Pro out. I don't think it's a real show until we've creeped Mod Pro out. You know, that's just seems to be our thing. Maybe not. I'm gonna back away from that. Buford say, "Back up, kind sir."
I
like that creepy McIT face. I like it. Yeah. Now Mod Pro writes in, now all you need to do is feet for Dune. Didn't Dune get enough of my feet yesterday? Wasn't that enough? My feet deserve a rest.
We would probably never see Dune again.
No, we can't. Dune has seen my feet too many times, and he comes back every time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think I'm gonna just leave my feet down here for now. I think the internet can only take so much of my feet. Maybe I'll give you a toe. Maybe a toe. Yeah, there's two toes.
Whoa.
2 toes. There you go. 2 toes for the price of 1. There you go.
Double for nothing.
Well, you know, my grandfather.
My
grandfather had a story, and let me warn you, this is a real groaner.
Okay.
So my grandfather was driving someplace, and he gets behind an ambulance, and the ambulance doesn't have the lights on or anything; it's just driving. So he's behind the ambulance and stops at a red light, and the ambulance comes to a stop. He comes to a stop, and he notices that the ambulance door kind of isn't latched, and it's like gonna swing open, and the light turns green. The ambulance, takes off through the intersection. The door swings open, and this box falls out of the ambulance. So my grandfather pulls over, and he gets the box, and the box is labeled human toe. And he opens up the box, and sure enough, inside the box was a human toe. So he called a tow truck. So he called a tow truck.
Yes. I got it. I got it. That's pretty bad. I'll do my own drum.
Yes. No, I just like that whole non-laughter, repeat the punchline thing when a joke was really bad. I think that adds to the patheticness of a bad joke.
After all, if you say a bad joke twice, it's still bad.
Buford T. Justice writes it. I have no response to that. This is another classic bad joke in my bag of jokes. And this one comes from, I think it was a schoolmate of my dad's. And it was one of these jokes that was just made up to be nonsensical. And the funny story I have about this joke is I told this joke in high school once. I was, I think it was junior year, and it was during homeroom. And I used to do this mock stand-up routine type thing with the Johnny Gators name. I was, kind of coming into this character of Johnny Gators, bad, cheesy stand-up comedian. It's kind of the starting.
Were you barefoot at the time?
No, I had on.
That's just been an add-on feature.
My high school did an experiment for 4 or 5 years where they did an experiment of easing up the dress code to allow sneakers as long as they were primarily black or white with only one contrasting color within a, small minority to be a primarily black or white sneaker. And because I went to a Catholic school that had a dress code, and it turned out after I graduated, my entire 4 years of high school, I got to wear sneakers. After I graduated a year or two later, the end of the trial period of the sneaker dress code thing was reviewed, and they decided, no, we don't like that. We're going back to dress shoes. And I think the reason for that was because the school was run by a bunch of crotchety old men and women that would get all pissy if anyone wanted to wear a jacket instead of an ugly sweater. And I just think it's bullshit that I don't like it when younger generations have a worse experience than me. It makes me feel bad. Like, I got to wear sneakers all 4 years of high school. I think the people that are there now should also get to wear sneakers. And I think, these old people need to find better battles of fight than sweaters. Like, I think high school students have bigger problems than sweaters. Let them wear a damn jacket. Okay. But anyways, that's not the point of this. The point of this is that I was wearing sneakers, to answer your question. And I'm doing my cheesy stand-up routine thing, and I'm running out of jokes, and the class wants me to keep going with this. And I don't know why the homeroom teacher was allowing me to carry on stand-up comedy routines on a daily basis in front of the class, but this was happening for a period of time. And so at one point it's like, oh, keep going. And so I reached back into this whole this is like when that guy decided to sing the bowling ball song on that radio show, and no one ever let him forget it. I just reached back for this old gem. And I told the joke, and let's say there was 30 people in homeroom. The joke resulted in 29 confused looks staring at me like, what the hell was that? And one lone person in the back of the room bursting out in laughter, which was then followed by 29 confused people turning to the lone person laughing in the back of the room, asking him to explain it to them. And he's like, no, it's just funny. There's nothing to explain. So anyways, here's the legendary joke that 1 out of 30 people will laugh at, and the other 29 will just look at you confused. What is the difference between an orange and a lemon? Well, that's a way to ruin the joke. Buford writing in, were the sneakers with 3 racing stripes legal? I don't know. That would be well, if the 3 racing stripes are all the same color, that would be one contrasting color. It depends how flashy the racing stripes are. That would probably be generally you can get away with things if you don't piss people off and you're not a dick about it. So if a kid's just, wearing racing stripe sneakers that aren't flashy and not being obnoxious about it or in general about their clothes, probably. But if someone's puts a bullseye on their back and the faculty are looking for a way to nail them, they I actually had an argument about the dress code once. Sure, Buford, you can send that. So I'm just here without a co-host right now. So Brian got rebooted. Which gives everyone a chance to ponder the riddle I just told, because I'm not finishing the joke alone. I'm just not doing that. I need at least someone to respond or react in some kind of a way. Dune wrote in, so basically on another show, a dude had a cousin that lost his toe from a defective ambulance door incident. Good job, Johnny's pawpaw. Okay, well, we got Brian back here. So anyways, the legendary awful joke that will get you 1 laugh and 29 confused looks. Are you ready for it, Brian?
It doesn't know what microphone I've got.
It's the same microphone you were using before, as far as I can tell.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, it might have been just the speaker. The speaker's going to the headphones, not going to the headphones.
All right. Now, the funniest part of my stand-up comedy routine in the homeroom was I would do my own announcement, and I would do this whole, and now here's Gators, and I do a running on to the stage type of thing, running to the front of the classroom. But the way I always did it was I would run without stopping and just crash into the blackboard and let the blackboard stop me, because people love physical humor and people getting hurt. And I think that was what got my biggest laughs in my stand-up routine, was the here's Gators. Run,
you got to have some laugh,
boom.
Right?
Yeah, I just run smack right into the blackboard, bam, right into it, turn and go, hey, it's really great to be here. Because that's like your standard cheesy stand-up comedy opening line. So
that's
anyways,
right.
So
after all, if you can't knock off Johnny Carson, then
yeah. So that was kind of the top echelon of jokes. This here is scraping the bottom of the barrel. So Brian, what is the difference between an orange and a lemon?
Well, orange is orange, and lemon is yellow.
No. A bicycle has 3 wheels.
Oh.
I mean, it's a nonsense question. The answer has nothing to do with the question, and the answer's not true.
Well, if it's a tricycle, would be a tricycle.
If it was a tricycle, it wouldn't be a bicycle. And so a bicycle has 3 wheels is a nonsense answer to any question.
Yeah.
Buford T. Justice writing in my head hurts. Yeah, so did about 29 people standing in front of me right after telling that. But like I said, this one person just burst out. It's like when Sloan just would do his like bop, 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 and say something random out of nowhere. I love that. And so I always love that joke for the absurdity nonsense. It's a joke that you have to play it right. Yeah, I didn't tell it very well because I did the whole methodical ask the question, wait for an answer, no, give the answer. There's a way to tell that joke, and I'm not quite sure what it is. But it has to be at a moment where it's clear that it's absurd and it's random nonsense, and at a moment where absurd random nonsense will strike that nerve. So there's a place for that joke. I got it I got one person to laugh once. So I'm on to something.
Yeah, that's right, man. It'd only take a good one good joke, right?
Buford writing in, a bicycle can have 3 wheels, 2 on the bike and the third wheel is the rider. Or maybe that's a bicycle with a spare tire. Whereas, maybe that's what it is. A lemon is like a bad car or a bad vehicle. So a bike without a spare is a lemon. But if you have a spare tire for your bike, well, you don't got a lemon. You've got an orange.
Yeah, that's it.
I have now completely ruined that joke forever.
Forever.
That's what I've done. The only thing the joke had going for it was that it's nonsense. And now that I've explained it logically, I've just taken away the last little bit of anything that was there.
And there's my Marine with his answer.
Ah. Well, that Marine doesn't have a bike or a trike.
But he's looking like, what the fuck was that?
Buford writing in, starting to wonder why I clicked on the stream. Well, that's because we signed a new deal to start streaming to CB radios across the nation. So 10-4, good buddy. Yeah. I don't know. So, Brian, how was your week?
All right.
Oh, some people got some ice cream going around.
And then I've got this other view of the same guy.
Ah. Okay.
He's got. I got to stand aside so you can see.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe you get a better view of C. I think he was talking to us.
Is this something in your camera roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I'm going to try to find a picture of the band.
The band. Okay.
I was going through the pictures earlier, and I go, they also had some guys with French horns.
Okay.
Marching with French horns? Did you ever march with a French horn?
You can march with a French horn. I've never marched with a French horn. I've often thought about marching with a French horn, but
yeah. So I don't know, and I'm not sure if it was the same guys that. Crap! Unfortunately, the thumbnail images are as big as your pinky, so I can't see. Let's try that one.
Thank you, Dune, for the play-by-play. Dune writing in, I think he was talking to us. Of course, I wasn't listening, so I'm not sure.
Oh, there you go. So how's that background?
Yeah, that's a background.
And if you go full screen, let's see. This guy. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, there's a guy with a French horn.
Yeah.
Move my finger right there.
You can march with French horns.
Yeah, obviously, because he did.
Well, the thing is that there's parade marching and there's field show marching. And, so marching in a straight line is probably perfectly A-okay for holding a French horn. But if you're out on a field booking it from one side to the other side and doing things like that, you really want something that you can hold solid with two hands like this instead of something that you got a fist in the bell. Because
I think it's in this sequence, they're marching this way, and when they come to the end, toward the end, the drum major turned around, came through the band, and then somehow the band folded into itself to go the other way.
Well, they've got,
which is a fancy marching maneuver,
right? I mean, they're not out in the field making pictures, but they're well organized, well rehearsed, a well-oiled machine. A rehearsed.
Yeah. These guys are totally professionals.
Oh yeah.
After all, we are all paying for them.
Yeah. And yeah. So that was your week? Auditioning for the Marine band?
No, we went to go see them. But that was when we went to Washington.
Okay. Dune writes in, were you ever part of a catastrophic right-left oops crash fest? Well, I think I told that story recently. That was the story about the guy that decided to. Because sometimes when you're doing the pictures on the field, you might have to do moves where people are marching backwards and other people are marching forward, and the people marching forward need to make sure that they go between people and that they are not in the way of people that are marching backwards. And that was that time where the Carl Booz, the guy that wrote the charts for the field formation charts, not the music. He was not a music dude. He was a what's that choreograph? I don't, he was that type of and so he came in and he didn't like the way we were moving from one picture to the other picture. And he's like, no, you need to come in here like that, and then you're going to come back and you're going to go. This line's going to go through that line. And so I think I was in the line that was marching backwards, which meant that I had to rely on about 30 or 40 trumpet players behind me to make sure that they were not in my path while I was marching straight backwards. They had one job, which was to not be in a path of me moving backwards. Of course, the thing is, it's really their job was not be in one of many paths of backwards marching people, which means they all had to be coordinated as to who's going to go between which two people. And the trumpets did not figure out ahead of time who was going between which two people. And Carl Booz didn't have a conversation with the trumpets to make sure they all understood who was going through which two people. And Carl Booz just said, okay, and go, and sent me to my near death. And so I marched backwards, and I plowed into about 20 or 30 trumpet players, and we all had a nice tumble. And And this was not the first go. Like, there was a few goes of this, and there was some crashing. And so at some point I was angry, and Angry Gators came out. And Angry Gators went up to Carl and said, I hate to break this to you, but this isn't going to work. Like,
so Buford asked the question.
Well, and Carl went off on me and saying, well, tell you what, after you spend this many years of studying this and this many years of doing that, and you write the show, then you could tell me what is or is going to work. And he's like, you can go run some laps right now. I'm like, I'm not going to run some laps. I'm going to go back to my spot right over there and shut up. And he's like, okay, you do that. And that's I don't remember how booze was spelled. So, and I don't remember if that was with a C or a K. So, and I don't know if there was an E at the end or not. Well, Carl Booz.
Oh,
Dune wants to call this dude. I am not even the footnote on this guy's memory. I mean, really.
Was this in college or in high school?
This is high school. In college, It was college students that wrote the charts. The entire marching band was run by the students. In high school, adults. Well, actually, there was someone who wrote the music, but the choreography of the field charts was actually done by college students. That would
choreographer.
Right, because when you go to band camp, you get a packet of basically each page is it's like graph paper but a football field, because you got your yard lines and you got your hash marks, and in between each yard line is 8 steps, so you have 8 grids in between the yard lines. So that way you would and you draw dots that make a picture. So band camp is basically you start on page 1. You find basically there's letter number type of thing. Mellophones would be M's. So M1, M2, M3. The Barry saxophones got to be BS's. And you find your dot on the chart.
Wow, isn't that the Barry sax is going to go? Wait a minute, BS.
It's like, yep, I'm bullshit too. like there be times where the person be up on the ladder on the megaphone going, "Oh, what's your number? I'm bullshit too." Okay, yeah, but you should be like a little bit to your left though, shouldn't you? And so that's how you look at the chart. You'd find your dot, and you'd be like, okay, 3 steps to the left of the 40 line, and this many steps behind the hash mark, and you find your dot, and you like put down like a clothespin or something, and then you go to the next dot and you put something down, and then we practice a number of counts to go from one spot to the other, and just work through each one like that. and you only kept paper clips or something. And then as you go through these enough times, you memorize your spots. At some point after band camp, you put together a dot book that would basically be your own little index card book that had page 1. This many from there. Basically a written description of your dot with maybe a little diagram what the picture looks like, so that you didn't have to carry this whole big packet of papers around with you anymore and could easily look up your dot. But generally, we walk through these formations so many times, you just naturally memorized where you were going. Not to mention that generally the person to your left and the person to your right were going the same direction, so you could, to a certain extent, kind of follow along them. The danger with that, though, is if everyone's following everyone and no one knows where they're going, you could end up running over the mellophone section as they're all marching behind towards you and you're not paying attention. Yeah, but that's the gist of band camp, marching band, and all that. And we did not have those big things that you hold on your shoulder.
But you guys had sousaphones, right?
Oh yeah, we had sousaphones.
Yeah. We never. These are tubas, right?
Dune looked up every combination of Carl Booze. And came up empty. No Carl Boozes that work with marching bands to be found.
Does that mean he's dead?
We can only hope. But I'm sure he was a nice guy to other people, but to me, he was that asshole that got me run over by 50 trumpets. But
right,
and that's how he always will be to me.
So you go from
I have a special spot right here in my heart.
So you go from mellophone. You go from mellophone to tuba. That way, if they run into you, got a bigger weapon.
Let me tell you.
Not that we're condoning violence here.
The sousaphone players always had tubs of Icy Hot at band camp, and that was not for the initiation pranks. No, that was because putting a big heavy thing on your shoulder for 8 hours a day will make you sore. Now, mind you, I guess we were all sore. I mean, holding your horn up and walking around. I mean, those are grueling, hard work days. It's kind of funny that I always look back. I always look back at my time in middle school years in high school with rose tinted glasses, and I'm well aware that I do this because I always think about the good times I had in marching band. Every year marching band was the year I was going to quit. I did not like it. I liked it and I didn't like it. I think about the good time with my friends. Well, I only had like 2 friends. Everyone else hated me. But it's funny how.
But that's your typical high school experience, wasn't it?
I wouldn't call my high school experience typical, but what is? Does
anyone have your typical where everybody hated you?
Gators and typical generally don't go in the same sentence unless there's an is not somewhere in that sentence. Like Gators is not typical.
No, but typical for you. I mean, if they hated you in band camp, didn't they hate you in other activities? So, I mean, I'm not talking about geography.
I'm not sure what the point is of bringing up all the different ways people hate me into this conversation.
Oh,
I don't know.
You didn't want to go there. Okay.
I don't know where you're going with this, Brian. But I'm not sure.
I was actually hoping that it was a simple question.
Oh, how they all hated you. Let us count the ways. Well, hate's an extreme word. Generally, I didn't fit in many.
You didn't fit in. That was the point. Yes.
Now, Buford T. Justice has 2 questions I can answer. How many years were you in band? Well, I picked up the French horn in 5th grade, which had a band. I played the French horn some in 6th and 7th grade, but they didn't have a band. They just had lessons, and I didn't really accomplish anything there, so I stopped. But if you really want to talk about marching band, I did marching band all 4 years of high school and 2 years of college. After sophomore year of college, I decided I'd had enough. And
to complete the question, I did just the 4 years of marching band in high school.
And did you do?
We did like a concert band in 5th and 6th grade.
Okay. Yeah, I did concert band 5th grade, and of course we had symphonic band high school. There's marching band season, symphonic band season, and I stayed in symphonic band in college all 4 years. And when I gave up marching band after sophomore year, I had to fill something out for that semester. So I joined the orchestra with Dr. Dietrich, and he was nice enough to let me in, to give me something.
And that's where you learn the accordion.
No, I stuck to French horn. I
Oh.
paid enough money for my expensive French horn that I didn't really have to buy. But yeah, no accordions. I don't. Dune writes in had to. I've told that story. And let me just give Dune a heads up on this. First of all, Dune was old when I was in college, so he might be dead now. Second of all, that's Chandler, Chandler. So when I started college, you had to, being a music major, you had to have an instrument you were majoring in. Even though it was a rec tech major, you still were a music major, had to have your major instrument. You had to take independent lessons every semester. You had to be part of a music ensemble every semester. So for freshman and sophomore year, that was marching band for semester 1 and symphonic band semester 2. There was only symphonic band semester 2 because Dr. Hearson did the marching band and the symphonic band, so it was one than the other. So when I quit marching band, I had to find something else to do semester 1, so that's when I joined orchestra. But I needed a horn to go to college because up till then I was using the school's horn. So the summer before I started college, I bought a cheap French whore, and she made me a man.
Cheap French whore.
And she made me a man, and then I went to college. I also bought a cheap French horn. So we had to keep going with the French whore jokes.
Yes.
One of these days, it's going to be funny, and that 30th person in the back corner of the room is going to burst out laughing. You just got to time it right when they're not expecting it.
Yes.
So anyways, I buy this cheap horn, which a cheap horn is also hundreds of dollars. I think I paid $800 for that horn, 500 of which my grandmother put up, which is why I don't want to let it go for less than $500, and it's not worth that at all today. So I might just find a school to donate it to. But until then, it's in my basement and perfectly fine. And every week,
we want you to bring the French horn in on the show and play something for us.
Well, I have the good horn. This was the cheap horn. Let's talk about. I own 2 horns.
Oh, you don't? Do you still have the cheap horn?
I still have the cheap horn and the good horn.
Oh, we want to hear the cheap horn.
Well, it's. Anyways, so
if you don't, I'll start playing the harmonica.
We'll do that.
Cheap harmonica.
We will do that another week. I am not pulling the horn out this week. I have.
Okay.
I'd have to go down 2 flights of stairs. Mod Pro's ice cream.
Well, you'd have to start the show with the French horn already moved.
So Dr. Chandler, and I forget Dr. Chandler's first name. It'll come to me eventually. Right off the bat, Dr. Chandler started by commenting on the cheapness of my horn, going, "That's a pretty cheap horn you got there." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm just majoring in music recording. I'm not planning on playing horn professionally. I just need something that's loud enough to drown out the harmonica from that asshole next door." But
right, which is easy. I mean, hey.
So he's like, "Okay, all right, whatever," and we rehearse and we do our thing. And every week he'd comment. And the funny thing is that the brand name of the horn was York. That was a manufacturer of this cheap French horn was York. It was a York horn. I don't know much about York as an instrument manufacturer, but that's.
I wonder if those are typically school instruments. And I take it was not the double.
It was a double horn, but it was a compensating.
Oh, it was a double horn. See,
it was a cheap double horn.
We had single horns when I was in high school.
I started on a single.
I suspect that they were cheap.
By the time I got to high school, they were double. Anyways, so it was a cheap double horn, and but Dr. Chandler always made a mental note of York because he hated that horn. And so, sometimes I come see him and be like, "You live up in York, right?" I'm like, "No, I do not live in York. My horn is a York." "Oh yeah, you should think about buying a better horn."
Oh yeah. This story, I love this story.
And every week he badgered me, be like, you should think about buying a better horn. You know, you could take out a loan. You know, they don't go down in value. You know, they don't depreciate. You can just buy it, use it for
Oops.
college, and then sell it. You know, so he kept doing that every week. And so, and I had Dr. Chandler for freshman and sophomore year of college. Towards the end of sophomore year, he made a comment to me going, you know, I talked to, you know, some of my colleagues, and they said they wouldn't be as nice to you as I am. I'm like, how so? You know, not that I thought he was mean, but I'm like, that's an odd statement. He goes, well, no, they say that, you know, maybe I should require you to buy a better horn, because even though you're a music recording technology student, you're still a music student, you're still majoring in horn, you should have an appropriate instrument for your major. You know, and I'm like, look, it just doesn't make sense to me. This horn is functional for what I'm doing. Oh, no, I'm not saying I would make you do it. I just want to let you know my colleagues think that. And I'm like, oh, God, whatever. Let's move on. So at some point, I made the dumb mistake of relaying this conversation to my dad. And my dad goes, well, you know what that means? That means you should probably buy a better horn. You know, he's really strongly advising you to buy a horn. You know, you've been working summers. You got some savings. You know, let's do this. Let's buy the horn. So I let him know, like, hey, my dad's on board. We're going to use some of my savings. We're going to buy a better. Let me. You're going to want to get the Holton Farkas. That is like the gold standard of horns. And you're going to want to buy it from, you know, this online store there in Virginia. And the best part is no tax, because you're buying it through the internet, and there's no tax on the internet. And that used to be the deal back then for a long time. And
Yep.
and no, that part would not be legal now. Thank you, Dune. But yeah, so I buy the horn. I get the horn. I rehearse all that summer. And I got this fancy, expensive horn that came in, and so junior year, I go back to college, and I see, my horn teacher is Suzanne Fox, because Dr. Chandler has retired. And I go to my first horn lesson with Mrs. Fox, and I pull out my horn. And she goes, wow, you've got a fancy horn. Wow, that's a nice horn. And I told her, well, Dr. Chandler made me buy this because I had a, you know, cheap. And she's like, that's ridiculous. I can't believe he badged you. No, that's perfect.
What was the brand you said?
The cheap one was a York.
No, the good one.
Holton.
Oops. I see Yamahas. I'm just looking at French horns online.
Yeah.
A Laura, a Khan. I think
Con is what she had.
Khan also makes trumpets.
But a Holton Farkas, Farkas. If you search for that, it comes up as Holton Farkas Professional French Horn. Right? I paid over $2,000 for mine. Right now, I'm seeing prices in the $3,000 to $4,000 to $6,000, $4,000. Although I see a used one on eBay for $850. So yeah. Although I don't know what kind of condition that one's in. I might be able to get $2,000 for mine if I wanted to. I see another one used for $1,899. So, yeah, but the Holton Farkas is really, I mean, that's a professional horn. That's the type of thing you're going to, I'm not saying every professional plays a Holton Farkas. Con horns are also very good. That's what Suzanne Fox had. 5-hit rating in York double. It was a double compensating horn is what it was. And I've explained what that meant.
That means compensated for the fact that you're lousy.
No, it has to do with the way the double horning tubing works. I've explained it before, but
this other outfit has a Holton
topic.
Farkas.
Yeah, they're expensive.
$6,200.
Yep.
Cheap at twice the frickin' price.
So
wow.
Yeah. You know, if I just
I wasn't actually looking at the other prices. Here's a Yamaha. Oh, it's much cheaper. It's $25,000.
25,000 or 2,500?
$1,000.
Wow.
I mean, I am not going to say anything bad about. Well, but there's another Yamaha that's just under 4,000.
I could, if I worked really hard, I might be able to get $2,000 for my horn, but I can't bring myself to part with it, even though I've just every now and then I think to myself I ought to like rehearse and get back in shape, get my embouchure back, and find a local band to join. But who has the time? I barely practice.
Well, I mean,
back then.
the thing is how many bands are there that do that type of music?
There are community bands around. I could find a community.
Yeah, that's true.
The
But
question is
but you would be doing gigs,
the
right?
question. Well, I generally
Like
it's
a community orchestra type of thing.
right. I mean, it's not gigs for. I mean, it's raise money to keep the band going,
Yeah.
maybe. But
So
by
I
passing around a
I
hat,
did go
maybe, but
to
not strict gigs.
a small community orchestra with my parents once,
Yeah.
and he kind of go, yeah, he supported this organization, and he says, hey, do you want to make a small fortune? Start with a big fortune. What? I thought it was down in the basement.
Well, this is the good. This is the Holton. This ain't the cheap horns in the basement. The good
Oh,
horns.
oh, oh, oh,
The
oh,
good
oh.
horn's here with me. Buford's telling me I need to shine my horn up because it's been too long since you've used it.
Who said?
Buford. Now, Buford
Oh,
also
oh, 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 oh.
Buford also asked another question I'm not going to repeat, but the answer to Buford's other question is 3 years.
3 years since you've paid it, played it.
No. He asked another question that the answer is 3 years.
So you're going to make me scroll up. I was actually going to suggest to Buford to.
I don't know what
I don't know.
Dune's talking about. Dune writes in, I had forgotten that story. That is beyond a dick move. I like the new lady. She is thrifty. Well, here's the thing. I believe that Dr. Chandler innocently, honestly believed in what he was saying. He felt that a student playing with a horn ought to have a quality instrument to play on. And he felt that, if you can afford to go to this college, you can afford to buy a horn
Right.
for 4 years and resell it, and then you could have, better quality equipment. And, Mrs. Fox was very practical. You could play any horn. The other funny thing about Dr. Chandler was that he taught me to play standing up, which normally you don't play the horn standing up, but as in the
Unless you're marching.
But generally you play sitting down and you rest the bell on your lap, and that's just the way everyone plays it. And so I go to my first lesson with Dr. Chandler, and he doesn't have any chairs in the room. We're all just standing around playing horns. And so I grabbed the bell with my hand because how else am I going to hold it upright? I had never practiced using my hand inside to hold it that way. I always had my hand resting without putting pressure to hold it. And so he says, well, first things first, we got to teach you how to properly hold a horn. Your hand should not be outside of the bell. And I'm like, yeah, but I normally play sitting. And he goes, well, even so, you're still going to have to lift the horn up to play it properly sitting because you look a little too tall to be resting it on your knee. I'm like, that's the way I've always played it. And he said, no, you gotta sit up straight. And if the bell don't reach your leg, then you hold it up. And so for 2 years, in freshman and sophomore year of college, I played horn, holding it up off my lap with my hand in the bell. And because that is how Dr. Chandler taught me to play it, because I was not short enough to play a horn with it resting on my knee. And the funny thing is, if you see pictures of me playing horn in high school, which somewhere I have that picture, I always played with my head tilted like this in a pose. And I always thought there was a beauty to the way we looked playing our instruments right, positioned to accommodate our instruments. It didn't. He would exaggerate it to, how can you properly breathe air into that horn when you're constructing airflow, cranking your neck like that? But it wasn't like this. It was like this. It was like, well, here, let me demonstrate.
Yeah, get the horn out.
Okay. And it's still shiny. because I always kept
Mouthpiece
it
in
clean.
there. Yeah, yeah.
And the valves are all seized up because they have not been oiled in some years now. But that's okay because we're not going to actually play it. We're just going to zoom the camera out is what we're going to do. And we're going to also put the case down is what we're going to do.
Since it's blocking the whole view.
And we're
I mean, you could, make a fart.
Let's see if we can get Hestia to come in the camera frame. Come on. Get the pointer. Stop staring at me with that look of what do you think I am, an idiot, and pay attention to the... There you go.
Be the idiot.
Come on, take it. No. You look interested. And you're walking away. Okay, so...
You need cat treats instead.
So I rest it on my knee, and actually this isn't too bad. But generally I would tilt my head a little bit and play like this. But even like this, maybe I'm hunched over a little, but my back should be straight. So I should, cut my hand, but rest it up to lift it up and play like this. And so that is how I played it for freshman and sophomore year of college. So junior year, I go to my first lesson with Mrs. Fox, and I pull out my horn, and I do what I had been doing the previous 2 years, and I lift the horn up off my knee, and I'm playing it, lifted up off my knee.
So Dune is asking, is that the York?
No, this is the expensive. This is the Holton Farkas. The York is in the basement. And so I go to my first lesson with Mrs. Fox, and I'm playing the horn the way I've been playing it for the past 2 years, that as Dr. Chandler taught me to, with my back straight up and lifting the horn up off my knee. And she goes, okay, the first thing we need to do is work on how to hold your horn correctly, because you need to rest it on your knee. You shouldn't be holding it up like that. And I'm like, I said I'd be happy to do that. That's what I have done for many years before I came here. I'm so happy you said that. And I explained to her what Dr. Chandler had taught me, and she's like, no, that's ridiculous. That's the way. And I said, well, he always pointed out that I had to turn my head to play it, and that constrict. And she goes, yeah, but that's the way everyone does it. Tall people, there are people plenty taller than you, and they play horn resting it on their knee. Pay no attention to what he said. So yeah, that is how to hold a French whore.
So I hit the button to select the price range. So the cheapest on this page is a Hans Hoyer triple horn.
Now
$20,000.
Now, Dune.
Oh, and then there's one that's 19,000 triple horn.
I don't think Dune is going to the worst way to describe what Dr. Chandler was doing. I need to get this back in its case, and I'm trying to do that without moving the microphone too far.
Susan?
Well, that was Mrs. Fox's name.
Oh, he's looking up Susan Fox.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I'm sure Fox is not a common name at all.
Right.
I could have thrown in the middle name. That would have helped.
Maybe she works for a large orchestra that got tons of money.
Heck, for all I know, she's still associated with the college. It could be found through their website.
Could be.
But
it's only been, 20 years?
Yeah, she could have stayed there for 20 years. She was not.
Yeah.
She was not as old as Dr. Chandler.
And then maybe she's tenured now.
Yeah, could be.
Either that, they fired her before she hit tenure.
I doubt it. I believe she was still there for many years after when I checked the website. So, but let's see. Oh yeah, she does have a page on. Oh wow, Yeah, she is still there, or at least she's still listed on their website.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I have no reason to contact her. I wish her the best. She was great. I had a great time.
We could have her on our show.
Why? The only thing she did was give me horn lessons for 2 years once a week. That's not. She's had many students. Does she even remember me? You know. And all we would do is retell the same stories I just told and have her going, yeah, I remember that, or yeah, I don't remember that. And Buford writes in, there's only one Buford T. Justice.
Absolutely.
But the trick is you're all spelling Susan wrong. But and the trick is I'm probably saying it wrong. I might have said it right the first time, though. I forget how I said it. But anyways, no. So that was my. I think Dr. Chandler basically. I believe that he was of the mindset not live beyond your means. I mean, because I think having on the one hand I was a poor college student. On the other hand, clearly I was attending an expensive college. So clearly I come from a family that has some money. So taking out a small loan to take out a horn for 4 years and then selling it off and paying off the loan by selling the horn, which wouldn't depreciate in those 4 years, which I believe he believed, and there could have been true, or I probably could have sold it for close to retail. I basically his plan would have given me a quality horn to play with for a number of years and very little debt compared to the debt I was already taking on just going to that school. Buford writes in, she remembers you as the kid who held his horn incorrectly. Well, I kind of wonder, because here's the thing I didn't ask, and I didn't think to ask. Because keep in mind, Dr. Chandler was the only horn instructor at the college for those 2 years, which means he had weekly horn lessons with every horn player at that college. And Suzanne Fox took over for Dr. Chandler, meaning that she took on all the same students who had been seeing Dr. Chandler. At least 3/4 of the horn students she took over for had taken lessons with Dr. Chandler, who would have taught his methods to them. So my question to her would have been, when you first started there your first year, did everyone playing the horn play like that with their bell lifted up off their knee, and did you have to correct all of them? Or did everyone just not do it that way, and either they only did it when they played in front of Dr. Chandler, or they just didn't do it at all?
I don't think there's any way to know it.
Dune writes in, it's a bad life lesson, full stop. You are right. You are right to advise a college student to take on more debt because they don't have the cash in hand is probably not sound advice to give someone. And I don't think I have to move on to acknowledge that. Yeah, I think he came from a
maybe he
good
was
place.
the kind of guy that liked to spend other people's money.
Oh, he clearly was, because he clearly did that with me.
And maybe what you should have done is at some point you sell this horn to him.
Well, the thing is I think
maybe that's what he really wanted.
I think the thing that really disturbs me about that story wasn't that he kind of pressured me into buying that horn, but was that his claim that colleagues would have not been as kind as him. Because I don't think they had like what could they do? Kick you out of the department? Certainly the head of the department wasn't going to do that. Dr. Meekin was not going to kick someone out of the music department because they didn't have the cash to buy a better instrument. So his argument, I always knew Dr. Chandler was full of hot air. And that's why when I told my dad that story, it was more of a like, get a load of this guy. This guy's full of hot air. And my dad's like,
did Dr. Chandler suggest this brand?
Yes, he recommended the horn I bought. He absolutely recommended the horn I bought. Dude could play a mean horn. He didn't have his doctorate in finance. He had his doctorate in music. So,
sure.
If you need a medical doctor, Dr. Chandler ain't the guy. If you need financial advice, Dr. Chandler ain't the guy. You want someone that can play a mean horn, Dr. Chandler's the guy. So dude writes in, only thing that would have been better would have been if he had you buy it in front, buy it from www.chandlersoverpricedhorns.com. Yeah, but no. But the thing is though, is that I knew he was full of shit, saying his colleagues would have not been so nice and would have made that. No one could make anyone buy an instrument. I mean, you were required to have an instrument, but there was nowhere written that it had to be at a certain level. I mean, so that was, and I didn't think this out as far as this. I just knew it was bullshit because you sense bullshit, you know bullshit. You don't have to think it through to every detail to know that's bullshit. No one in this faculty is going to force someone to buy an expensive instrument. It's just not going to happen. You know, I'm not even sure if anyone else had this conversation with any professor, like, because I know what was it? Gothard. He played I'm not sure if he had a euphonium or a baritone. There is a difference. I think he had a baritone. So he was playing baritone. And he had a cheap baritone.
I did Google the website that Dune suggested.
Chandler's overpriced horns.
And this is what I got.
Okay.
This is what I got.
I can't wait to see what you got. I'm not seeing anything. Are we supposed to be hearing something? Or
No. I posted to the chat the link.
I get site can't be reached. Oh, you corrected it with an A. You got Sand Hills Ranch.
No, that's what Google did.
Oh, Google corrected Chandler's overpriced horns to Sand Hills Ranch, which
you'll have to look at the image,
which has a lot of horns on those animals.
And I think the bottom line is bullshit.
At Sand Hills Ranch, heifers and herd sires are Millennium Futurity eligible.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't either, but they deal with animals. Is what they do.
Dora and her daughter Nikki are on the page for some reason.
I'm amused at how worked up Dune gets over my history sometimes. I tell stories that I'm over, and Dune's like, no, someone still needs to be mad about this. Let's look them up and call them.
maybe Dune needs an anger management course.
I'm going to Google Dr. Chandler French horn. I forget the guy's first name, and it's not coming to me. Oh my God, there's a website called chandlermusic.com. I wonder if they sell French horns.
That's right. They dropped the overpriced part.
There are a lot of Chandlers. They sell Christmas CDs is what they sell at Chandler.
Maybe that's what he got to. He says, the heck with teaching classes. These people won't listen to me anyway because they can't even hold the damn French horn right.
Oh my God, that's the guy. Not the difference. I found his LinkedIn. He's on LinkedIn. Of course, that doesn't mean he's still alive.
Oh no. In fact, I kind of know people that are on LinkedIn that are dead.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
bring up the picture, or is that too much information?
Should I? Should I really? Do we really want to out this guy who's given bad financial advice?
Well, why don't you just look at it and see where also he has been?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what did he do after he left college?
Well, let's see. Professional performer, teacher, jazz pianist, French hornist, conductor, songwriter, over 700 songs, all styles, composer, orchestra, band, chamber music, choral, recipient of many commissions, arranger, great sight reader, big bands, show bands, backup shows, recording artist, several original CDs, performed in backup orchestras for Henry Mancini, Andy Williams, Johnny Mathis, Lola Falana, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Petula Clark, Roger Williams.
Did all those bands have
Elvis
French horn players?
Presley, Staff orchestra. Well, if they had a full orchestral backing on a song,
Yeah,
clearly he was in the union and played a lot of sessions.
Yeah, he'd have to be in union.
Staff orchestra, Valley Forge Music Fair, Hershey Theater, conducted concerts for Diane Shure, 4 freshmen, stars of the Lawrence Welk Show, recipient of the George Washington Medal of Honor.
He
for
even
high
drops the
achievement.
Lawrence Welk Show.
Yes.
Not that he played it, but these other people were on it.
He name dropped the Lawrence Welk Show.
I mean, that's one toke over the line, sweet Jesus.
A modern day spiritual.
I do love that. Oh, shoot. Oh, I love that song, and I love that he was. Oh,
Jesus, he did write an article, a short article about being a member of a website for composers in June of 2016. So he was alive in 2016.
Okay. Now, does he list his instruments?
Yeah, he lists himself as jazz pianist, French hornist, conductor. So he plays the piano, the French horn, and the stick.
The stick, yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay. You know what? Since I trust you're all good people that would never ever badgered an old retired man, we'll bring up his LinkedIn page here. He is his name is Irwin. That's why I didn't remember the name. And yeah, I mean, that's an impressive list. I mean, this guy, like I said, he's a doctor of music. Dude knows his music. Might not know finance. Might not know.
Where did it say where he got his doctorate?
Let's see. Well, he's the owner of Patter Chan Music, publishing company devoted to educational music. Let's see, Pottstown Orchestra, and here he instructed horn up to 1998 at Lebanon Valley College. Let's see, Indiana University Bloomington.
But what degree there? Does it say?
A highlight of my career was having the honor of studying with Phil Farkas, former first horn with Chicago Symphony, author.
That's why he liked the Farkas.
That's what it was. Trying to help out his old buddy Phil. This is what he was doing.
Jesus. Now you know exactly why he made that recommendation.
Yes, that's what it was.
What if you came in with a Yamaha or a Con?
Oh.
You come in with a Con and you say, yeah, but I thought you were giving me a Con job.
I was looking for the punchline there, and you
either I made it or I stepped on it.
You set it up and knocked it down.
Right. Now, are you going to connect to his LinkedIn page?
Hell no.
Oh, that would be so cool. And then you send a message, you go, sir, I'm glad I finally found you. I just really loved your advice. I still have that fantastic horn that you recommended.
I mean, it's been 25 years since I've had any contact with this guy. Why would I reach out through LinkedIn now?
Now, do you use Gators for your LinkedIn account, or do you use your real name?
I do not have a Johnny Gators LinkedIn account. I only have a real one.
Yeah.
Dune writes in all styles, gangster rap.
yeah, that's it. Gangster rap.
That's
gangsta.
the question. If we have him on the show, we got to ask him if all styles means that he has written gangster rap.
And maybe that's what you said to you start the conversation with him with that question. Oh, do you do also gangster rap? I'm looking for a French horn player that does gangster rap.
He was really primarily into jazz. That was his.
Oh yeah.
That was his bag. I mean, and I know this because I actually, mind you, it was a requirement every semester to attend a certain number of music recitals.
I can't even think of a person. I mean, I'm so not a person. I have not heard of the French horn being used in jazz. I don't think it can't be.
It absolutely can. Absolutely can.
Obviously, because he does it, right? But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
but
And
like your typical big band is trumpets, trombones, uh, if you call saxophone or brass instrument or not. You know, I mean, you go down the list, and French horn typically is not on the list.
no, it's not what comes to mind, but there's no reason he can't. And he did it, and he
Right.
did it well because every
Now, did he
semester
include blues? French horn on the blues would be
I
cool.
don't
Would be very cool.
look at what I'm trying to spit out here is so every semester we were required to have a certain number of concert attendance, recital attendance. It was actually a graded category on our report card. And the only requirement was, and it was pass fail. You either did it or you didn't. And you were required to go to, I forget the number, but it was a certain number of recitals every semester. And the thing was, is that
I'm sorry.
general,
This was college, right?
right?
Yeah.
And generally, most of this recital attendance would be attended at the on-campus recitals that they were having throughout the semester,
Yeah.
because every recital had a dude at the door that was handing out attendance slips for music students to take and fill out their name on, and then at the end of the concert as you're leaving they'd have boxes for you to drop the slip in, and that was that way. So it was really set up that generally the way it worked is you attended X number of recitals every semester at the college. Now there was no rule that said that you couldn't attend other music performances outside of the college, like if you went to a rock concert, that could count, but you can't go to 10 rock concerts and count all of them. I mean, there needs to be some variety.
Oh, just
But
to attend was a requirement.
right, to attend a certain number of
I thought that
recitals,
meant playing.
that was why it was recital
Yeah.
attendance.
In fact,
Was
actually,
welcome
you
to the
think
conversation,
you
Brian.
think you could connect with your local college to see if the recitals that they have, do they have recitals that are open to the public?
They're all open to the public.
Yeah, so that might be fun.
They were open to the public generally, because only the students were taking the slips at the door. It was mostly students
Sure,
attended.
sure.
Students are mostly, and the reason why they had butts in the seat was because you were required to attend so many of them. And generally,
Well, that's how you get the seats filled. Sure.
and let's say it was 10 recitals a semester. You had, I think it was something like 7. You had to like attend 7 recitals
Yeah.
a semester. So generally, the last 7 recitals of the semester were the most well attended recitals, because you always had to kind of keep track of that number. I only have 7 left, and I haven't gone to any yet. I need to go to all of them, and then it starts to become a crisis of schedules if you get a conflict that comes up.
You know, I went to
Um,
a local community college
so
with our friend Dan,
yeah,
and they were doing not a recital per se, but it was like a group of acoustic guitar players
all right.
that were
Catch you later,
playing.
Buford.
Hey, Buford, it's great.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
right.
Thanks for the
Uh,
tip.
so
Is he going to go buy one of those French horns?
no, he's
The
he's
tip
looking
on.
for the bandit.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah,
bandit. But so one of my recital attendances was to Dr. Chandler's recital. He performed a recital one semester, and generally it was a lot of he had a piano accompanist, and he did a lot of horn jazz to piano accompaniment, and it was a nice concert. I wouldn't have voluntarily gone if I didn't have to get credit for something, but it was
Yeah,
it
sure.
was a but no, he was a great he is a great horn player, and a semi decent teacher. And
I was taking a music class in college. It was kind of music history, and one of the students played in a small jazz band, and he asked the instructor, "Shay, could my band come and play to the class?" I said, "Sure." So he did. That was
nice,
pretty cool. It
yeah.
was jazz kind of stuff. Oh! With this Marine, at the Marine barracks, with the Marine band, there was one song. I can't remember what it is, but one of the verses included it was a fife and drum kind of thing. And one of the verses featured a guy that played the fife, a flute type of thing. and it was a lot more like jazz. He did some amazing improvisation. It was like,
Hmm,
whoa, cool.
I
You never
realize.
think of marching band music that would do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're playing Stars and Stripes Forever or something like that, you do it exactly as John
Well,
Philip Sousa meant, right?
well, I mean, there are some interpretations to marches. Generally, if you're playing it in march time while marching, you're going to keep
Yeah.
a solid tempo. But oftentimes, a concert band playing a march might, da 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 da
Yeah.
da. Do that
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
that dramatic
That's
slowdown before the last portion,
that's
and then
shall we
speed
say
it up
that's
and
not
get it.
so
Yeah,
much like jazz though. I mean, this was off the rails.
yeah.
But then again, he had the main band doing the standard beat and backup. So he was doing his part, with that in the background, which is, I mean, that's part of jazz anyway.
Dune
You're
Dune writing in, Ms. Fox did have a phone number listed. I closed the page. Yeah, that's to her. That's to a voicemail box at the campus. That's not going to her cell. That's,
sweet. But still, you could leave a message. Oh, Miss Fox, I really enjoyed our time with lessons.
somewhere I have a recording. Um, I've told this story several times too, and this is the story where Gators is a big asshole, and I felt just awful. Awful. This is one of these moments that it leaves me with a pit in my stomach when I unintentionally was a huge asshole, and once it was done, and there was nothing I could do to fix it.
Right.
I couldn't even apologize because the dude didn't want to hear it. But I really wanted to get a recording of the pieces that I had prepared to somewhat play semi decently with piano accompaniment, because me and Mrs. Fox every week we do our lessons, and we had a few pieces that we play together that because that was kind of how our lessons go. We would go through our drill, we go through our exercises, but we move through different pieces to kind of rehearse up. And by the end of my time there, I had maybe enough pieces to do a half recital. And I said, I've never given this much thought. I've never been serious about it, but is there any way I could do a half recital? And she goes, oh, that requires like a year advance planning. There's no way we can get you in for that. But so I never got to do a recital. So I said, well, and also to do a recital, generally I would need to hire an accompanist, not have. Whereas me, I always played with Ms. Fox. She accompanied me on the piano when she gave the lessons. And to me, it would have been so perfect for the two of us to put a recital together because she was my accompanist. She probably didn't get, I don't know. But that probably wouldn't have been normal to have you bring out your teacher to accompany you at the half recital at college. But but it didn't happen. It didn't work out. That was that. So I said,
Well, so you'd be paying an accompanist for a recital?
well, if you know what, if you require someone to accompany you at a recital and they have to rehearse up a number of pieces to play for you, that's work.
Oh, well, so what you do is rather than changing money, you say, "Oh, and if you have a recital to do, I could accompany
you,
you."
that's no, that basically that's on you to come up with accompanist however you do it. If you have a buddy that will do it for free,
Yeah.
great. If you need to hire someone, you're probably gonna have to give them some cash.
I mean, after all, you've
If
got your buddy.
I don't know what the norm was. I really don't.
I mean, you have friends in college.
Yeah, barely.
What do you mean you did? You're still friends with the one guy,
I had
Gothard.
you said plural. I had friend in college.
Oh, just Gothard.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I had a few acquaintances, maybe, kind of. We had circles. I was
And what? In fact, what did he play? I forget.
baritone.
Baritone
That's it.
and French horn would have been awesome together.
Yeah, I would have had to have composed something. I thought of that at some point in time. It never happened. I always fancied myself a composer. I just never got around to composing
Have you
anything.
ever played the French horn bell?
No, but let me go
You
back
know,
to the
like
story.
percussive.
So I decided I wanted to get a recording of myself because I knew once I graduated college, I was probably going to put the horn down, fall out of practice, and never be able to play this stuff again. And here I am. I could tell you today, if I pulled that music out of that drawer there and set it up and tried to play it, I couldn't. And I know this because about 3 or 4 years ago I tried to, and I couldn't. It would take me many months
Well,
to.
what would you do? What would you do to get back into it? Obviously, you have to get your
Well,
lift,
that's
but you have
not
to
the topic
play
I'm on right
something.
now, and I don't really need a diversion at this time. So I'm going
Oh,
to
I
present.
thought I thought you we were on a diversion.
Well, one diversion at a time.
Okay.
I,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't
Okay.
keep track of when you get into multi-layer diversions. I lose track, and then I go back and rewatch the previous week's show, and I'm like, oh my god, I never got to my point on that one, and then that keeps me up
You know
at
what you
night.
do? You get a little pad in front of you that I can't even see anything,
Uh-huh.
and you write down, "Oh yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
Simple.
I have a better method that works. If I get 2 or 3 levels in and you try to divert me again, I tell you to shut up and I move on. That's worked
Or
great for me.
you can mute me, right?
Yeah, this is a story about how I was an asshole, so I may as well embrace the role I play in this story.
Well, but see,
So,
I'm going along with that by being in the asshole.
only one ass.
Obviously.
So we're double assholes. We're assholes in stereo right now. So
Look, we need one more guy in here, and then we could be Atmos.
it was, well, we get me getting there, but technically. So, anyways, I knew that what was going to happen was I was going to graduate college. I was going to put the horn down. I was never going to be able to play this small selection of tunes to the level I could play it at this time. I knew that I was on the top of my French horn game. Even though I was mediocre at best, I was at the top of my game at this point in time. This would be the time to get a recording of this, of what I could do right now, because it wasn't going to get any better than this. And so I decided that I should book some time in the concert hall and grab the rack and get a DAT tape and set up some microphones and get a nice digital recording of myself in a concert hall with Ms. Fox accompanying me on the grand piano next to me. And get a nice recording of these things, and I'd have a little CD of here's what I could play. And I asked Ms. Fox, would you mind taking an hour of your time to play through these tunes with me to get a recording? I'd like to have. And I'd be glad to do that. Okay, we'll do that. And so I go and I look at my schedule, and this is towards the end of senior year. I'm running out of time. I only have so many weeks to work with here. And there was one period of time, 1 week, that it would work for me. It would work for Ms. Fox. But the concert hall, Sluts Hall, was signed out, and it was not actually called Sluts Hall. It was actually called Lutz
Sluts
Hall.
Hall? Did you
Lutz.
sneak that one on me?
L-U-T-S.
Lutz
L-U-T-Z.
Hall. Okay.
L-U-T-Z. Lutz. We commonly refer to it as Sluts Hall. Sluts Hall had a big reverberation sound in the room, but if you got the microphones up really close to the stage, there was a nice sweet spot, and that room could produce some really good sounding recordings. So that's where I wanted to record it in there. And I go to sign out Sluts Hall, and Sluts Hall is booked. And I'm like, fuck, shit, fuck. I'll have to record it in Zimmerman Hall. Zimmerman Hall was an awful hall. It was a nice setting for a live show. It sounded good if you sat there in person, but you set up a pair of microphones in there and you had this room sound that was just awful. I never heard a recording I liked out of that room. Never. I hated the sound of. We all tried so many different ways to mic that room, so many different methods. We got some things that sounded semi decent, but it always sounded like Zimmerman. But it was that or nothing. So I booked Zimmerman Hall, and I go. The day comes. I go grab the rack. It's on wheels. I lug it across campus, over across the street to Zimmerman Hall, because Zimmerman Hall was just off campus on the other side of the street. And I set up the microphones, and we do our run through. We do our thing, I recruited Gothard to help run the board and get levels and kind of monitor the situation, even though it probably would have been perfectly fine for me to kind of monitor, get a mix and hit go and just do it, let it run. But Gothard agreed to come help me with this. So he does that. We're running through. There's one thing I forgot to do because I booked the hall, but I didn't book the rack of equipment that I took there. And the reason why Sluts Hall was signed out that day was because Gothard's former roommate, Andy, had booked Sluts Hall because he needed to record something for Dr. Dietrich. I guess they had I don't know. Dr. Dietrich had some kind of an ensemble or something there that he wanted to get recorded. And so Andrew signed out Sluts Hall, signed out the rack of equipment, and then I went and I took the rack of equipment and lugged it halfway across the campus. So Andy goes to do this thing. He's got Dr. Dietrich standing there waiting for him and a stage full of musicians, and he's got no microphones. He's got no DAT recorder. He's got nothing to record. He ended up having to grab one of the Tascam high 8 recorders, DA88 or DA38 8-track recorders, and use stereo pairs on that. And I left enough microphones that he could make do with the microphones that were left. Microphones generally weren't signed out. You just kind of took them as needed, and you just didn't take all of them. So he didn't have the best microphones, but he had enough microphones to work with. And so that happened. I basically totally shit all over his session there and left him scrambling. And I hate when things like that happen. I felt so awful. I just felt, to this day, I still feel so awful. Although when I get to the end of the story, I feel a little less awful. Because if there's one thing I hate more, it's someone that can't take a gracious apology. So after I run the session with Gothard, I pack up the rack of equipment, I put it back. And later on, I think Gothard gives me a call, or somehow it came to my attention. I don't know if I looked it up or if I realized, oh, shit, I didn't sign it out. I hope no one had that booked. Or if Gothard told me because Gothard was talking to Andy. But it came to my attention that Andy had that equipment signed out, and I had basically just screwed him. And I was like, oh, my God. And so I look up Andy's phone number because Andy was rooming with a group of people in an off-campus apartment that was across the street from the house I was rooming at, right above the auction house. And so I call the number, no answer. So I wait. I see him come back, and he comes back. And he turns to the building I'm in. And he flips me off the double fingers. I don't know if he knew I was watching or if he just gave the fingers to that house because he knew I was there and was pissed off. And I deserved those double fingers. It was fitting that I was sitting there to take them in. And so he goes inside. I call him up. And he picks up the phone. He goes, hello? I'm like, hey, Andy, it's Gators here. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I'm totally in the wrong. He hung up on me. Would not even... I try to call back, it doesn't pick up. I might not have tried to call. Either I tried to call back, he didn't pick up, or I didn't try to call back because he hung up on me and I took the social cue. A few weeks later, it's time for senior class photo, where we all get in a group of people, and while we're and a photographer comes to take a big group shot of all of us. And while we're waiting to be lined up in the position in the field, we're sitting in the bleachers off the side of the football field. And so Andy was nearby, so I kind of go over to him like, look, hey, Andy, I'm really sorry. I just feel awful. He goes, don't even bring it up. Just don't even talk. I'm like, do I feel? He's like, I don't care. I just don't even want to talk about it. Like, don't, like if you know what's good for you, just don't even. Like he didn't go off on me. He didn't get, was worse. It was worse that he didn't get angry at me. Like, he was just like, I'm not even going to acknowledge your right to feel bad about this. Like, so... Dude writes in, so it's safe to say he would remember you. Well, if you want to figure out how to spell Weichsel, have at it. But I don't think you're going to figure that one out. But, yeah. So then we all lined up and took the class photo. And the best part of this story was that Gothard bought a special shirt just for this picture. And the photographer saw his shirt. And as he's positioning people, he kind of slyly, nonchalantly goes, okay, you need to move right over here. And he positioned Gothard to the front and center of the group. And do you know what Gothard's shirt says in that group shot for our class? Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large crowds. Or stupid people in large numbers.
Oh, shoot. That's great.
He picked that shirt just for our class photo, and the photographer noticed it and slyly put him in the middle in the front. And so that's our little contribution. That's his little contribution to the class photo. I wish I could say it was our contribution. No, that was his. So yes, Andrew Weichsel would totally remember me. He might hang up on you if you bring up my name, though. I did run into him post-graduation once because he lived in Manville. And so I was at the Walmart one day picking something up, and I'm like, shit, it's Weichsel. Oh, my God. I walk up to him and go, hey, nice to see you. And he responded politely but did not break stride. Like, I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to stop to talk to you. But I'm not going to prevent you. But I'm not going to tell you to not continue walking along with me. That was his way of dealing with that. It was clear to me he was not happy to see me and was not happy to have this conversation. But being that he was going to be polite, I was going to make him work for that. So I subjected him to polite pleasantries for about 5 minutes before I broke off and let him continue his stride in the opposite direction. Because, once again, this is a story about how Gators is an asshole.
Well, he was, in his behavior, he was returning the favor.
I don't know. It might be a little petty of me to be kind of like pissed off that he didn't accept my apology graciously, because there's no rule that you have to. Clearly, he was entitled to his anger, and he was entitled to deal with that how he was going to deal with it, as long as it wasn't.
Well, that's what it comes down to at this point is just get over it.
Yeah. Well, heck, I haven't thought. I only think about this when it comes up on the show from time to time when I go down memory lane like this.
Right.
I mean, this is the type of stuff that that a show called Showy McShowFace would talk about. Because I'm stupid McStupidface doing all kinds of stupid McStupidface things on the Showy McShowFace. Anyways, why did I bring this up? The reason I brought this up...
Why did you bring that up?
Well, why did I bring up Showy McShowFace? Well, because Kristen asked me earlier, did he hear about a school that had was taking submissions for what they should change the name of the school to? And I immediately said, Schooly McSchoolface? And she said, oh, you already read the story. No, I had not already read the story. Apparently, there's a Robert E. Lee High School that was deciding that maybe we don't want to go by that name anymore. Which I'm not going to get in the middle of that can of worms. It's just that's what's happening in this story. And
do we know where that school is?
Texas.
Oh,
and
surprising.
I think so. Yeah, Robert E. Lee Elementary. No, not even high school. Elementary. I think it's in Texas. I forget. I Googled this and I found reference to a school in Texas, but that could have been a different story, or it might be the same story. I forget. It's not even saying in this. I just brought up for this picture. So here's some of the nominations: Drew Brees Elementary, Bruce Lee Elementary, John Cena Elementary School, Adolf Hitler School for Friendship and Tolerance, and Schooly McSchoolface. The Adolf Hitler School for Friendship and Tolerance really kind of takes the oomph out of Schooly McSchoolface at the end of that list there. Yeah. But
I would totally want to submit that name. Adolf Hitler, what?
Must have been anonymous submissions.
Right.
Must have been. Someone trying to make some dumbass point about naming things after people. But I don't think they're in the same league. But the point is that Dune right now is halfway through a list of multiple ways to spell Weichsel is, I think, what's going on right now.
Dune, thanks for playing. There's not an asshole on that side of the.
Dude, you are so going to get hung up on if you try it. And I'm not. I am not calling that dude. No way in hell. No way. Maybe, actually. Maybe. That could be interesting. Dude was friends with Gothard. Oddly enough, here's the thing.
Wait a minute. How was that?
Andrew
was
Weichsel
friends with
was
Gothard.
friends with Gothard? Well, we were all
No,
music.
no. You said Dune.
Dude. The Weichsel dude. Dude.
The Weichsel dude was. I thought you said
Yeah.
Dune. I go,
No,
what?
I said dude was friends with Gothard.
Okay. Until he realized that you were friends with Gothard too, so he dumped him.
No, actually, it wasn't like that at all. Here's the thing. Weichsel was. No, I should. We always refer to him as Weichsel, and that's just a habit of mine. And I've already blown it out this many times, so I may as well stick with it. Weichsel was in our class. Weichsel and Gothard hit it off, and the thing is that Gators is insecure. I've had many insecurities I've dealt with, and I'm comfortable with that. I am who I am. I'm very comfortable with that now. I acknowledge my insecurities that I've dealt with, and I'm a little more secure now than I was then.
You're down to 3 shrink visits a week, right? Just joking.
I haven't since high school. High school I did see some. High school I was told
We don't actually have to go into that.
Well, no, all I'm going to say in high school, I was told you have 2 options. You can go to therapy or you could go find another school. And so that was the one.
Oh, well, that made it easier. Yeah.
And I found a therapist that didn't like my school either. So we had that in common.
I worked with a young woman some years ago, and she would take a little time off around lunchtime to go see her shrink.
Yeah.
And so one time she was going to go, I put her up against the wall and made a mark on the wall. And when she came back, I made another mark, and yep, she was short.
You know,
shorter.
I gave no thought to referring to a psychiatrist as a shrink. And at some point when I was going to that therapist that I saw in high school, I made reference to, so I was telling so-and-so, oh, yeah, I goes, because I met someone in school that had used to see the same therapist. He's like, oh, you see Dr. So-and-so? Yeah. I said, oh, I used to see him until I told my parents I wasn't going to go anymore. And I'm like, did they let you? He's like, I didn't give him a choice. You could do that? Apparently, some people can do that, but I could never figure out how to do that and survive. But, generally...
So your folks insisted that you continue.
Well, the school insisted I continue if I wanted to continue going to that school, and I didn't want that much upheaval in my life. As much as I hated the school, it was the misery I knew. Whereas if I got kicked out of the school, that was a whole other level of misery I wasn't willing to face. So I may as well deal with the therapy and not deal with.
See, when I was in high school, we didn't actually have psychiatrists.
This wasn't in the school.
We had a person that had been a teacher and that got into the principal's office, and he was like the truancy officer.
Well, no.
So if you were bad shit, you didn't see the principal, you went to see that guy.
Basically, the school told me you will seek therapy outside of the school, or we're not letting you continue with the school. Not you have to see the school therapist. Like they want.
Oh! This was outside of school.
Basically, the school
we were
was like
way deeper in this than
the school was like. You need to cost your parents even more money if you want to go here.
Right? You mean you can't? You mean not a free one?
And I know my dad made jokes every session when he would pull out his General Motors credit card about getting those points towards a free car. So that he might have gotten a free car out of the. I don't think that's how it works, but anyways. So I made reference to, the conversation I had where I was like, I was going, I mentioned to the student how I was going to my shrink. He's like, oh, you see one too? I'm like, yeah, I see Dr. So-and-so. Oh, I know him. So I was like, and I remember the funny thing is that I told the story as if it was nothing. And he stopped and he paused for a moment. He goes, oh yeah, by the way, I just want to let you know, it doesn't bother me, that term shrink. And I'm like, I didn't even think about whether or not it would bother him. But he made a point to tell me it didn't bother him. So I think it may have bothered him. So yeah,
I never even considered, thought that much about it. I mean, I've never seen
Well,
a shrink, so
shrink is for head shrink, so it's kind of a derogatory term if you think about it. But
is it?
Dune writes in, in the scheme of things, had he took the equipment before you got there, I'm a betting man that you would have ended up like this dude. Oh, okay, all right. We got to click a YouTube link. What would have happened if?
All I need is a love tonight. All I need is a love.
All right, so we're looking at a dude that's dude cut the power to a festival because he couldn't get in. You just see basically a guy at like the power thing, and and the lights go off in the distance. He basically cuts power to like the stage at this music festival or whatever.
Oh, that guy needed therapy.
Yeah, that guy. I would not have done if I got there and the equipment wasn't there. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have realized I messed up. Now, I would like to think that I would go, oh, I messed up. Someone else signed it out. I'm SOL. And at that point, would I come up with a backup plan? Would I have done like he did and be resourceful and grabbed another recorder? Or would I have called the thing off? I might have called the thing off and rescheduled because I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I had a DA88 tape handy. And my thing was not. My thing didn't have to be done. My thing I was doing for myself, whereas Weichsel had people waiting for him. Unfortunately, I only have the DAT tape somewhere in this house. I don't know where it is. I lost my CD copy years ago. So I don't have that ready to play for you. And I'm very sad about that. At one point in time when I was going through archiving my CDs, the case was empty. I don't know where I left the disc. But I still have the DAT tape somewhere. But I don't have a player that'll play that tape. But if I find the tape, I could probably find a player. So that's... I mean, the recording turned out okay. It had that Zimmerman sound to it. I really wish I could pull it up because I going off of memory, all I could say is it came out satisfactory. I don't remember how happy I was or wasn't to it. The last time I heard it, I probably... The problem is that even at my prime, I wasn't that good. And I probably just hear all my mistakes if I were to bring that recording up now. It might be interesting to hear other people react to it. See if they just put on a face to be polite or if they really think it's good. Because you can tell. So that's going to be one for another year. One of these days I'll find that tape and I'll put it aside someplace. And then I'll find a player and I'll go back to the place I put the tape aside and it won't be there anymore. Because I always...
Why don't you digitize it so it's on your computer?
Well, I'd have to have a player to do that.
Well,
I'd have to have the tape and the player. Right now, I don't know where the tape is, and I don't have a player. I have to make those two things materialize in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Generally, it's hard for me to get one of them in a place at a time. And so what I'm saying
is that something you get off of eBay?
Possibly. I actually bought a DAT player at a swap meet, and I got it home, and I couldn't get it to play anything. Because I had a tape, but I didn't have the tape. And I forget which tape I had or where I even put it. And I just don't even know. Dune writes in, let Vamp fix it. Yeah. Anyways, I was on path to something. So yeah, I'm in, oh, that's right. I was talking about how I was insecure. So Gothard was better friends with Weichsel than he was with me for our first few years of college. At least that's the way I saw it. And I don't know. I think that's true, but but noticing that is certainly part of my insecurity. Like, I didn't have many friends. Like, I kind of befriended my roommate LeVar, but we were not chummy. We were not interested in the same things, and then we started getting along less as we got on each other's nerves. So at some point, when I struck up a friendship with Gothard in marching band, he was the only friend I had in college. And so then I did strike up a friend with another guy named Jason. And then I found out Jason was friends with Gothard. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. It's like this is the new Three Musketeers. This is the new gang. But the two of them were friends with a lot of other people and hung out, like, Gothard, Jason would go hang out with other people in the music class. And I didn't know, I just my finger was not on the pulse of social activity on the campus. And I guess I didn't think to ask, like, what are you doing this weekend or what's going on? Because generally I just, hang out with them in class, listen to their radio show. Sometimes I go hang out at the radio station when they're doing their shows. I thought about signing up to be part of the radio station, but I never took the plunge for that. Part of the problem was that the radio station was only in mono. So I basically was like, I'm holding out till they get stereo working again. And they never did in my time there. But no, LeVar was my roommate freshman year and sophomore year. Different LeVar. Although that didn't stop a dude from drawing rainbows on our marker board on the door. But anyways. So yeah, I would say that I was very insecure with my friendship with Gothard for many of our years of college, because for Gothard, I was just one of many friends, but to me, he was like one of my only friends. And so at times I felt a jealousy at I was kind of pissed off that he wouldn't room with me, because he roomed with Jason sophomore year, and then Jason left, and I needed a roommate for junior year because I was rooming with I roomed with LeVar and Mike, because I roomed with LeVar freshman year, and there was a guy that was friends with us across the hall named Mike. And you figure out where the extra letters are in Gottschall, and you'll still not find him. I can't find that dude anywhere. Not that I really care. So then, we couldn't find roommates at the end of freshman year because we were all kind of, had our own little things going. And so Mike suggested, well, so me and LeVar were like, well, we can't find other roommates. Let's just room together again next year. I'm like, fine with me. And Mike's like, well, I can't find a roommate. What if we put in for a 3-man room? So we put in for a 3-man room. They go, no, they're all filled up. There's no 3-man room available, but we'll put you on the wait list. So Mike got a call. Your name came up on the wait list. So I roomed in a 3-man room with LeVar and Mike sophomore year. And that was a huge mistake. LeVar and I were, we got on each other's nerves a little bit, and going a second year escalated that situation. Plus Mike was in there, and Mike and LeVar were kind of chummy, and I was third man out at that point. And we just
whoops.
Yeah, I don't know. We clashed. We clashed way too much. Mike worked better as that friend across the hall, because he's the type of guy that it's kind of like you and me, Brian.
Yeah.
We banter for an hour. Sometimes you interrupt me and say things that
for 2 hours.
Right, 2 hours.
Hey, this time I gotta take a break because I gotta go pee.
All right, when you come back, I promise I'll let you get in a few words.
All right.
Mike would come and hang out with us, and every now and then Mike would say something that was not quite exactly on the track of what I was saying or explaining. And that's the type of thing that really pisses me off, is when I'm explaining something and he goes, or you mean like this? And it's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. So in a sense, Mike was kind of like Brian, where he kind of either says something that's not relevant or says something that is kind of doesn't fit what I'm trying to explain. And it's like, no, this. But the thing is like, I'm on this track and Mike's on that track. And so then we get into this bickering back and forth over stupid, inane bullshit. And that's fine when it's with the guy across the hall, because then, we just go like, hey, whatever. Yeah, fuck you, man. I'll catch you later. And he'd go wander back over to his side of the hallway and watch TV over there. And I browse the internet on my side of the hallway. So when Mike came back, so when we go to sign up for a 3-man room and they were filled up, I was like thanking my lucky stars, because I knew that would be a disaster. The problem is to say no, I will not room in a 3-man room with you, would be rejecting him. And LeVar was on board for it. And the thing is, if I was the guy that said no, LeVar would probably say, well, I'll room with Mike and you're on your own. So the only reason why I was able to secure, there was no money difference in this. So the only reason I went along with this was, basically to appease LeVar and Mike and still have a roommate and not be, randomly paired up with someone, which in hindsight might have been the better way to go. So we went to sign up. We put our names on the wait list for a 3-man room. Since I was already rooming with LeVar and I was making these good faith efforts, that put me and LeVar priority to, in our, social agreement between each other. So me and LeVar signed up for a 2-man room. Mike put himself on the wait list for a 3-man room, or put himself to be randomly paired with someone. And that's how that played out. And then Mike gets the call that our names came up. So he comes across, he goes, hey, y'all still want to do it? I did not. I so did not want to do it. But if I say no, I'm an asshole. And if I'm an asshole, then that, mind you, then what is LeVar going to say about that too? Because he had a stake in this too. So I basically had to say, yes, let's take it. And so then Mike went from that, semi-friend across the hall that could rattle me from time to time, and then went back across the hall to an everlasting presence in the room with me. Plus, me and LeVar had our own little... Me and LeVar would rattle each other a bit, or I'd rattle him, but then he'd put on his headphones and go off to his bunk or whatever. So the three of us all in a room together was just a huge disaster. And if you call either of them, they'll say that I was the disaster. And I'm not going to refute that, but I will say that there were, everyone's got their side. And I wasn't setting out to be an annoying asshole. It just sometimes happens naturally. So junior year, I needed a roommate because there was no way in hell I was going to room with LeVar or Mike again. There's no way in hell that was not even an option. Basically, it was me and Mike are rooming together, and you're finding another roommate. Like and none of us had any disagreements about that. There was no you've been voted out. There's basically I don't want to room with you two, and you two don't want to room with me. I don't think there was even a conversation. I think it was just I'm going to need to find a roommate, and you two have fun rooming together in a 2-man room next year. That was just no conversation needed to happen. And so I was pissed off that, Gothard refused to room with me and agreed to room with Weichsel. It's like he picked him over me. And so I always felt like that, I was the second-rate back burner friend and Weichsel was his real friend. But then he went on to not have contact with him post-college. And I know I asked him about that. I'm like, I always felt like you were better friends with him than me. I find it odd that you kept in touch with me and not him. He goes, that was on his side. It's just, that's the thing. You never know how close people's friendships are. Just because they room together for a year and we're friends and chatty at times, that doesn't mean that they're closer or not as close.
So in my last semester, I roomed with this guy. Okay.
Yeah. This is college.
College. Yep.
Guy?
Final semester. I knew the guy was in the dorm, and I decided, I'm going to room with this guy.
So junior year, you signed up to room with it. Was this a guy you had previously had in classes?
No,
or you knew
this
him?
this is my last semester, which was the semester after my senior year. I needed to fill in some extra credits.
You went for an extended semester,
right?
So,
right.
And this was a classmate of yours, or a friend, or someone?
Just a guy in the dorm. I was friends with him, but not really a friend per se. But he did invite me to his wedding. So I
Oh,
thought, yeah, we are friends.
that's
We got
cool.
along real good. And
Nice.
and then we lost contact forever.
Hmm. So I got paired with a dude named Jim Feeney. There's a nice common name that you'll never track down. And junior year, and we got on each other's nerves. His problem with me was that he always was telling me that I was too conservative.
You conservative?
Yeah. Keep in mind, I was raised in a house that didn't discuss politics much, but there were leanings, and my leanings changed a lot when I got out on my
Maybe the guy
own.
wanted you to smoke some dope,
Probably did.
and you weren't into that.
All right, let's see if Dune's sending me pictures of people I used to know. No, he's sending me a picture of a shelf.
A shelf.
Yeah, you missed it yesterday on his show. 5 minutes of showtime. His UPS crapped out, so he had to unplug all. He had to shut down his equipment, unplug it all, plug it into a power strip, and then his power strip was one outlet short. So then he needed to go find another outlet to plug in to get everything plugged in, and then as he plugged everything in, everything got knocked off the shelf. And so he was not having fun yesterday, but today he's got everything put back together. He's got a new UPS put in. He's got things plugged in. He's I would share this picture, but it puts his Dune's real name right up on top of the window
Oops.
there. So maybe I need to download the picture and open it in a picture viewer, and then I could actually share the picture rather than just be lazy and say, well,
Or
I
even
would share it.
clip the picture without his name.
Well, no, the picture doesn't have his name. It's just the window that it's viewed in has his name. So I have to download it to open it up in a viewer that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just need to find the right window here, and there we go. Present, share screen, and yeah, there it is. He's got it all put back together again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is this like under the desk?
Yeah, he had a little shelf under the
Yeah.
desk with that equipment.
Oh, that's nice. That is
uh,
nice.
Dune just threw up a little.
Oops.
Why? What did I say? Which part did he throw up about? Oh, me being too conservative.
Right. What he was really trying to say, he was laughing his ass off.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't think about these things when I was living my life under the home of my parents.
I actually I had a friend from high school and college. In fact, probably even junior high. And later, after college, we were friends on Facebook, and I would post these different things. And he goes, "You used to be so conservative." I suppose.
Yeah, you were a registered Republican.
Until actually recently.
Yeah. But, well, here's the
And,
thing.
and when he said that, I was still a Republican. I just wasn't conservative.
Keep
Oh my God, this is funny
so
as hell.
so keep
Oh,
in
I don't have
mind,
my phone with me.
so keep in mind, I went to school, in the late 90s, up to, so basically the big dilemma, in my time in college was the election between Gore and Bush Jr. And, if you ask me who was I voting for, I had no strong ties to either side. I kind of, Al Gore was the boring vice president that didn't have the charisma of Clinton. And Bush Jr. was, a former president's son that was clearly riding on the coattails of his dad's name. I didn't like either of them. But that was without giving any thought to policy or what's going on in the world, and there wasn't anything important for me to think about that was going on in the world. I didn't really start thinking about things until 9/11 and the aftermath of that and all those events. That's when I started paying attention and thinking of things and forming opinions, and came to my positions that would not be described by anyone as conservative. And that's that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to dive into the actual
so
opinions.
so
and
here's an
positions.
interesting thing, and it has nothing to do with this. I don't even have it straight, do I? Nothing to do with this. Oh, I still have it. Anyway, whatever. You've seen that shirt before. Anyway, in Nova Scotia, Canada, the top political party who has the premier for the province,
Mhm.
the name of the party is Progressive Conservative.
Okay.
And on their logo, they have the letters PC.
PC. Progressive
Like
conservative.
politically correct.
Which would fall in line with being progressive.
Progressive conservative.
So that means
all of that is kind of an oxymoron.
Not necessarily.
But the current premier
think that
got
works
elected
perfectly fine.
with 70% of the vote.
Huh. Well, what a progressive conservative would be is someone that's all in favor of the social changes that the liberals embrace, but with the fiscal policy of the right, which is really what the right should
No,
be.
in fact, if you go to this is all on Wikipedia. If you go in that on
Okay,
Wikipedia
I'm
and
trying
down
to
it,
say what
it
that
literally
would
says
make
exactly what you said.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I was right.
Absolutely.
You could have just said I was right instead of telling me to pull up Wikipedia. Yeah, I think we need.
Well,
a party
I
like
wanted to.
that is what I
validate
want
what you
from
said.
our Republican Party. If even then, I'm I
Sure.
don't. I mean, but
Sure.
that to me would be, I think that probably would be Dune's Republican Party. Because
Would it?
when it comes to
Or
I
did
don't,
Dune already leave us?
to a certain extent. I don't want to start representing other people's ideals, but I know
Sure.
that from what he said and things like that, he generally doesn't go into the loony bin
Well, and that's literally where I was.
area of.
But then again, I look
the-
at current Republicans,
the social
and
stuff.
they're not physically conservative at all. Their budgets are crap.
So they may as well be Democrats.
No.
Well, then again, our conservative party also is, which is why we have the extremists that we have, because most Republicans aren't really Republicans.
It's way overdue for a raid.
We are.
Aren't you
dear.
happy to hear that, Dune?
You know what happened? 10 minutes ago, Mars would have started talking about coffee, and then we would have looked for a raid.
See that? Wow.
And once again,
Every time I click on the live stream on Twitch,
yeah,
it pops up with another commercial. I mean, it's constantly doing commercials.
How about that? All right, let's see who we can
New
find
music live.
live.
I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, I don't.
He's bouncing around the stage. Oh, it's Amazon Music. Thank you, Amazon.
We keep rating the same people. We need to find some. Oh, you know what? Here's one that's got very few views right now. And of course, yeah, Dad. Maybe we. Oh, I don't know what Symbols is doing, but it doesn't look like he's got bowls. It also doesn't look like he has a shirt. I don't know if I want to raid this. Let's see if we can find someone else or see what else is going on. We can always raid Ray Rachel. Well, we raided Ray Rachel last week.
Actually, I think a couple times in a row. Graceful Bard is on.
Yeah. Well, Graceful Bard's usually wrapping up around now. I'd hate to.
Well,
raid
they
her.
all are. In fact, why are they still on?
Well, different people have different hours and live in.
Well, I understand that, but a number of them leave at the same time.
Not all of them. Like Ray Rachel's going to go for many hours into the night, I'm sure. But Graceful Bard, some of the music people.
It's been forever since I've seen Shroud people, but to be fair, I don't play games very often. But I figured September I should stream a little more, so I decided what better thing to do with my time than to play Shroud
Pull
all the
off
time.
for the full raid.
So I don't know if she's like talking about what she's going to do, or if she's wrapping up the stream and talking about what she's going to do for this month.
Let's just do it.
All right, let's just
hey,
raid
we're
her.
about ready to raid.
All right, let's do it. Let's raid the Graceful Bard. and that way she can carry it over to another raid if that's the case. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Oh my God, I didn't talk about what we learned this week. Well, I learned that doctors of music are not good at giving financial advice. What have you learned?
And if they do give advice, it's because he's friends with the guy that made it or that's selling it.
Yes. All right. Thank you for
Is that kind of like corruption?
Very well could be. I think it's a big scandal that's rocking the valley. So anyways, we'll catch you next week. This is Showy McShowFace. The Valley, the Lebanon Valley College. But anyways, this is Showy McShowFace signing off, and good night.
We'll see ya.
Oh, she is still playing. Cool.
Yay.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Dune writes in okay. Oh, he sent us someone to raid. I didn't even see that. Well, we'll catch it next time. All right. Good night, Ryan.
Are you linked with that person?
I don't know. I'll have to